Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, please be true.
Hello, hi there. This is R.S. Sleuth. I am a certified and licensed psychological therapist now for 38 years. I get into people's heads, figure out what they're thinking, stuff like that. And you're going to do it with me. The topic is each of these three men. In 1969, they dressed up like this and like this. Went there and back. Shoot. Did the men make it to the moon and back or not? Let's start with Neil Armstrong as he starts the conference.
It was our pleasure to have participated in one great adventure.
Now let's take merely the first 5 seconds of Neil Armstrong speaking, place it in a visual time signature, reverse it, and see what we get.
It was our pleasure to have participated in one great adventure.
Now, it usually takes time to learn the ear for hearing reverse speech, but did you see that? This says, us men did error, known it, did that error sick, that with radiochasm. Notice, in the first 5 seconds of Neil Armstrong speaking, we have already gathered 4 bits of information through reverse speech. We will now use software, Heather, to help us gather information in our ongoing analysis.
Conclusion number 1. Regarding the Apollo 11 space program, Neil Armstrong and the other men conducted themselves in great error. Conclusion number 2. The great error of Neil Armstrong and the other men of the Apollo 11 space program had the quality of being particularly sick in nature. Conclusion number 3. Neil Armstrong and other men knew of the great error within which they participated, as well as understood the sick nature of it. Conclusion number 4. There was a chasm of some kind involving radio communication equipment, or the capabilities in using radio communication equipment. Suggests moon landing did happen, and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 4.
Open up your mind, consider what I am telling you. That reverse speech tells us much. In this video, some of these interpretations will be so clear you will be amazed. Words will be coming out like lie, lying, hoax, cover up, covering up money paid. equipment that is stupid, naive, and this is only in the first few minutes.
It's an adventure that took place not just in the month of July. It's an adventure that took place not just in the month of July.
Here we have, I wish this known in this search. I miss here. This is embarrassing in doing this. The subconscious mind is busy projecting a deeper truth within our forward speech, but in reverse, while we feel we're in complete command of the words we speak.
Conclusion number 5. Neil Armstrong wished that the Apollo 11 error, the sickness of the error, and the problem of our radiochasm were revealed and made known to the public. Conclusion number 6. Neil Armstrong mentions his presentation was not including further specifics as to the sick errors and radiochasm of Apollo 11. In his words, I miss here. Conclusion number 7. Neil Armstrong found it difficult not telling people what he kept hidden regarding the Apollo 11 program. Thus his words, this is embarrassing and doing this suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 7.
But rather one that took place in the last decade. We all here and the people listening in today had the opportunity to share that adventure. We all here and the people listening in today had the opportunity to share that adventure.
Heather will be laying out for us what this means in our survey, but I want you to know when I started this video, I was interested in learning how did it feel for the men to walk on the moon? How did the stars look when they peered out into the universe? But as I proceeded with this video, I began to see that maybe things were not as we were told.
Conclusion number 8. Neil Armstrong had great anger towards managers and supervisors in the Apollo 11 space program. As in his words, first name I dare shit in it. Dang it so. Forfeit the head. Conclusion number 9. Neil Armstrong, through some amount of the Apollo 11 space program, had been either internally or externally struggling with the leadership of the program. Fighting the head. Conclusion number 10. As in his words, forfeit the nerd, all of you. Neil Armstrong had disrespect and little appreciation for the intelligentsia and computer operators behind the space program. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 10.
Over its developing and unfolding in the past months and years. Over its developing and unfolding in the past months and years. In the past months and years. Serious number. Happening. Serious number. Happening. Serious number. Happening.
Conclusion number 11. Even as Armstrong spoke openly of the alleged marvels of the Apollo program, inside himself he knew some people were aware of the errors and falsehood of what he said to them. Conclusion number 12. Not speaking honest regarding sick errors of the space program, in his presentation before the Apollo 11 mission conference, Neil Armstrong felt both strange and sad. Conclusion number 13. It's strange. It's known. It's sad for me. For Neil Armstrong was also characteristic of the Apollo 11 trip to the moon in general. If it was a hoax, it was strange indeed. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 13.
It's our privilege today to share with you some of the details. It's our privilege today to share with you some of the details.
Notice the brilliance of how our subconscious mind is made. It will occasionally say two words in one word, such as this, sly, and slay.
Conclusion number 14. Although Armstrong at times felt strange, embarrassed, sad and angry with the Apollo program, still he and the others relished the opportunity to participate in what took place. Conclusion number 15. According to Armstrong, the astronauts were sly in their pursuit of the objectives, and obtained medals of honor and prestige in having done so. Head is silver brazen.
Of that final month of July, now was with now was with now
Conclusion number 16. Neil Armstrong, the leading astronaut in the Apollo mission to the moon, by the time of the Apollo conference, wished he was no longer identified with the mission. Ever. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 14.
That was certainly the highlight for the three of us of that decade.
Now hold it just a second. Do they look excited? No, they look like they're covering up something and feeling guilty for it.
Of that decade. Of that decade.
Conclusion number 17. Armstrong saw the atom bomb as an amazing work of American technology and power for the good of the world and the end of war. We will see, like the U.S. Apollo trip to the moon. Although Armstrong made this comparison to Apollo 11, we believe it remains not applicable to our survey.
We're going to divert a little bit from the format of past press conferences. We're going to divert a little bit from the format of past press conferences. We're going to and talk about the things that interested us most. And talk about the things that interested us most.
Conclusion number 18. A thing large hurt Armstrong in his life. Because the topic has remained flight to the moon, we conclude he painfully hides the dark secret about the Apollo space mission. Conclusion number 19. Seem now for double-crossing it. Is 1. Break confidence with colleagues of Apollo space program, or 2. Double-cross the public by telling them something that is not true. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 16.
In particular, the things that occurred on and about the moon. On and about the moon. On and about the moon.
Conclusion number 20. In forward speech Armstrong said, in particularly the things that occurred on and about the moon. Reverse was, moon was spied, but no. Suggests no moon landing happened. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 17.
We will use a number of films and slides which most of you have already seen. We will use a number of films and slides which most of you have already seen.
Conclusion number 21. Armstrong's descriptor of what was happening in the moon landing space mission of Apollo 11 was the word nasty. A very negative comment indeed. Conclusion number 22. Their all-loading Earthstone, stated by Neil Armstrong, was how to simulate the appearance of astronauts being on the moon when not, one nasty trick to deceive the public. Conclusion number 23. Immediately following the statement, "They're all loading Earthstone," comes the sound, "ush" or "hush," implying "they're all loading Earthstone" was to have been kept a secret. Conclusion number 24. Looks doubts in that. Suggests Armstrong's words meant doubts like, if they're all loading Earthstone, it's not likely they made it to the moon and walked on it. Conclusion number 25. And this and rant is the doubt in the previous sentence, mixed with rant, or loud and bombastic declamations by management and staff of the Apollo 11 space program. Conclusion number 26. They're running, in Armstrong's words, grammatically refers to key management personnel running. Obviously afraid they will be caught in the secret they are covering up. Conclusion number 27. The word rue means sorrow and remorse. From within himself, Armstrong stated, the sorrow and remorse, if present in Apollo 11 management, should be sued. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 24.
And with the intent of pointing out some of the things that we observed, and with the intent of pointing out some of the things that we observed,
There's babies, said by Armstrong, surely refer to Apollo 11 space flight, walking on the moon, then returning to Earth afterward as babies of the National Aeronautics Space Administration. 29. There's babies, myth, though, were words further spoken by Neil Armstrong in reverse speech. Surely, it was deep from inside him that the truth be known, and admitting, the babies, all myth. 30. Must die now, is what Armstrong acknowledges should happen to the babies, said by him to be myths, of the United States National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Again, must die now. 31. While there were babies in the space program, and those babies were admitted by Armstrong to be myths that should die now, he states their intentions but let, in acting it, get through. Special note, the word night is commonly found in reverse speech analysis. It means really saying a thing that is especially true, and sums up things. Like the last thing you say at night. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 27.
On the spot, which may not be obvious to those of you who are looking at them here from the surface of Earth. on the spot, which may not be obvious to those of you who are looking at them here from the surface of Earth.
But the acting it, and not certain to get through past the public, Armstrong tells us how some space program participants felt at the time of the conference in 1969. Fear of this, diverse. 33. But the space program counted on myth. Promoted myth. As Armstrong said, in myth there is free, or freedom. Hitler did it. Say a thing false long enough, and it will be believed to be true. 34. Armstrong chose the freedom of myth, even with the diverse fear that he and the program might be found faking the walk on the moon. In his own voice in reverse speech, admit I need them. 35. In reverse speech, with his own voice, Neil Armstrong said he rarely ruled, I rare rule. Then added that he and the others would rule on Sunday, we, rule this Sunday. 36. To acquire the power of ruling, in many areas of lives in the world, Armstrong and the others, complicit in the moon landing hoax, embrace the lie. In his words, we wish same lying. 37. Committed so far, Armstrong and the others, united now in an agreed conspiracy to deceive the public, convinced themselves there was no choice but to stick with it. As he said, non-negotiable. 38. Holding truth as less vital, and this hoax, walking on the moon, non-negotiable. Neil Armstrong admitted his lie only to himself, but for his subconscious that tells us now, opposite, I know. Suggests moon landing did happen, and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 34.
The flight, as you know, started promptly. The flight, as you know, started
Conclusion number 39. In this portion of reverse speech, Armstrong says, they are all screwing you. To this, no comment is necessary. His words could not speak more clearly.
And I think that was characteristic of all the events of the flight. And I think that was characteristic of all the events of the flight. The alpha, the
After the last words in reverse by Armstrong, they are all screwing you. His immediate words in forward speech were, and I think that was characteristic of all of the events of the flight. 41. Armstrong's next words involve him more. They show he was passive in his aggression. Yeah, I was just listening. Me involved them. Saying nothing to stop what was happening, he contributed a lot. 42. To impress the point further that Armstrong was implicit in the lie of man's flight to the moon and back, he remarked further regarding himself, the military parrot, to let him be in on it. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 37.
The Saturn gave us one magnificent ride. The Saturn gave us one magnificent ride.
.43. Armstrong's subconscious tells us the initial basis for flight to the moon is vital. In his words in reverse speech, are just bringing known Soviet rising. This was war with the Soviet Union.
Both into Earth orbit and on a trajectory to the moon. Both into Earth orbit and on a trajectory to the moon. And on a
.44. Neil Armstrong's words, moon, this here, has your hand on it. Ever crawl through it with me? Could be a yes in our survey, were it not followed by the word fuck. 45. In reverse speech, the sentence, moon, this here, has your hand in it, can refer both to Neil Armstrong himself and the supervisors of the National Aeronautic Space Administration. 46. Here Armstrong lied in detail to the world about the space flight and walk on the moon. Regarding himself, he stated the life burden of his lies would ever crawl through it with me. 47. As an expression of deep pain and anger that he, perhaps more than any other, was leader in lying about the moon flight, in reverse speech he expresses clearly his internal cry, fuck. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 41.
Our memory of that actually differs little from the reports that you have all heard from those previous Saturn V flights and from those previous Saturn V flights.
.48. After doing what he did the way he was told to do it, with the National Aeronautic and Space Administration, Armstrong wanted out. As he said, stay out, without NASA work. This one enough.
The previous flight served us well in preparation for this flight. and the previous flights served us well in preparation for this flight.
From his subconscious in reverse speech, Armstrong tells us NASA had plans to include him in more projects. Yeah, oh, you sitting there, next year we prepping it. 50. Neil Armstrong's response to NASA's request to have him continue in the space program, however, was abrupt. Oh, I always said, first you'll see me in prison, suing, in it. 51. And with Armstrong having said, first you'll see me in prison, suing it, in this, results in, first, he would have confessed to the lies of NASA, then second, from prison, be suing NASA itself.
In the boost as well as the subsequent phases. In the boost as well as the subsequent phases. Phases.
52. Hear this quote in context as to NASA expecting Armstrong to continue with NASA. Next week we prepping it. Oh, I always said, first, y'all see me in prison, suing it, in this. This is legit. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 47.
We would like to skip directly to the translunar coast phase and remind ourselves of the chain of events long chain of events that actually permitted a landing, starting with the undockings, the transposition and docking sequence.
This was our first look at the magnificent machinery which had been behind us up until this point, the booster. This was our first look at the culture resolution. The culture resolution. The culture resolution. The culture resolution.
53. These two statements, you go serve her as, though sin, and, you go serve her as, no sin, in reverse speech, both can be true. Either way, as to the space vessel, it makes the mission suspect.
The booster, the booster,
'54. In common forward speech, Michael Collins called the booster, the magnificent machinery that had been behind us. In reverse speech he spoke honestly about the vessel, her, is stupid. Naive. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 49.
Of course, the first and second stages had long since separated. Of course, the first and second stages had long since separated, but their best is no. Their best is no. Their best is no.
55. Collins said in forward speech, of course, the first and second stages have long since separated. In reverse speech, he said what really happened, allegorically, and their request is no.
But this shows the limb nestled inside the third stage, the S4B. But this shows the limb.
'56. So, Collins says the spaceship booster is stupid and naive. Then, the two stages have separated, but they say no to him. Now he says, my old man, just sit there. Says just zip it.
After the translunar inject burn. After the translunar inject burn.
'57. Collins' forward speech, after the transistor inject burn, anything connected with that as Nernest smashed, better than that, and, as Nernest smashed, tethered to that, sounds bad, indeed.
This maneuver was an interesting combination of manual and automated techniques. This maneuver was an interesting combination of manual and automated techniques.
'58. Collins, after he says in forward speech, this maneuver was an interesting combination of manual and automated technique, says in reverse speech, 1 of 4, team has been no. 59. Collins, after he says in forward speech, this maneuver was an interesting combination of manual and automated technique, says in reverse speech, 2 of 4, no management. 60. Collins, after he says in forward speech, this maneuver was an interesting combination of manual and automated technique, says in reverse speech, 3 of 4, the shame to mock. 61. Collins, after he says in forward speech, this maneuver was an interesting combination of manual and automated technique, says in reverse speech, 4 of 4, yes sir, man, it's over. 62. In the last 4, Collins has said 1, there is no team, 2, there is no management, 3, there is shame to mock, and 4, man, it's over. Then he says with exclamation, and boy, I knows it. Suggests moon landing did happen, and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 57.
In that we programmed the onboard computer to make the turnaround. In that we programmed the onboard computer to make the turnaround.
63. Here, Michael Collins, in reverse speech from the base of his concealed thoughts and emotions, admits, and I relish the scam. 64. Ready to go, not in there, as said from Collins' reverse speech, translates comfortably and reasonably, I'm not ready to go into that spaceship and fly to the moon and back. 65. In reverse speech, the word atom often refers to mankind. Here, saying, ready to go not in there, but deal with atom in it, appears won't go to moon, but deal with mankind with a scam.
And then these final maneuvers were made completely manually. And then these final maneuvers were made completely manually.
'66. At this point, we know at least Neil Armstrong and Michael Collins had both been negatively affected by someone overseeing them in the space program. As Collins said, "Damn Bruiser, ruined them." 67. What Collins and the others say in this hour of the Apollo 11 flight conference sinks or swims the public's belief on if flight to the moon even happened. Collins, 1 hour, you seeing, end it. 68. Stress on men to maintain the hoax, war with Russia, time and work acting it out, embarrassment for all, hell to pay if they told the truth. Collins, knowing them, they'll deal with you. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 62.
As I approached the LEM, I had an easy time. As I approached the LEM, I had an easy time. It's sure as a now you see the ham. It's sure as a now you see the ham.
69. Forward speech. Collins speaks of having an easy time with a piece of technical equipment in space flight. But reverse speech, he says, are you sure pass it? Not easy in it. Damn.
Because I had a docking target which is not too clearly visible here. Where he'll observe you and where he'll observe you and where he'll observe you.
70. Even while Collins put on the appearance of speaking confidently about the space flight, his subconscious, through reverse speech, told the truth. Worry, who will observe realist view, and issue. Note, in 69 and 70, it is obvious Collins was uncertain that he could convince members of the public that the equipment he claims got them to the moon was sufficient to do so scientifically.
Which allowed me to align the probe and the drogue, which is the dark spot you see on the upper right. which allowed me to align the probe and the drogue, which is a dark spot you see on the upper right.
'71. Although Collins was afraid the public would see past what he was saying to the real view and the real issue, the Apollo 11 hoax was now, as he said, beyond war. Not just war, but more. '72. It was more than war now, because whatever lies and falsehoods the United States had accused the Soviet Union of propagating, we now had spun ours. Collins, now, always schemed, ours. Sure. '73. As Collins said, the United States of America had out-conned the Soviet Union. We outlied them. Problem is, in the process of doing so, we lied to our own public, and our children after them. '74. What was the result of this great con job to the world? Collins tells us this also. Yeah, we were puffed. Pride based on saying we did something we didn't. Then we believe it. Innocence lost. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 68.
During this time, I also checked out the proper vehicle response to my stick inputs. During this time, I also checked out the proper vehicle response to my stick inputs. So make it sound this sound zero favor out the diecast just I'm acting here. So make it sound this sound zero favor out the diecast just I'm acting here. So make it sound now zero favor out the cash just I'm
75. Collins, in reverse speech from his subconscious, admits he's a part of a scam in the Apollo 11 space program in his words. Though make it scam. Scam defined, a dishonest scheme, a fraud. 76. To maintain the scam, and not make public, the hoax that it was, money was paid to Collins, payoffs, with no paper trails evidence. As he said, 1 of 4, over the scam, 0, paper, profit. 77. To maintain the scam, and not make public, the hoax, that it was, Collins obtained payoffs, with no paper trails evidence. As he said, 2 of 4, 0 paper profit, and, like, cash, for this. 78. With a forced tone and voice, to conceal nervousness, Collins, to preserve the scam, in reverse speech, though, make it scam. Over this scam, 0 paper profit. Though, I'm masking it.
And here shortly you'll see the actual docking somewhat speeded up. And here shortly you'll see the actual docking somewhat speeded up.
$79. Collins said with his own voice, "I did it so much." What did he do? He told us. He propagated the scam, kept the hoax of flying to the moon hidden, then was paid off to keep silent. 80. In reverse speech, Collins said, "Me, hat, broke, or I was broke financially." Why? Because he, like he said, depended on cash mostly, being paid off by cash with no paper trail to be found out. 81. I hid this. Collins hid what was going on, hid and acted out that they went to the moon then returned, and he had personal reasons he chose to do so. When once in on it, there was no way out. 82. Collins helped scam, then kept it hid. He was broke, received cash with zero paper profit. He did this so he could gross money afterwards, training moonflight that didn't happen. Suggests moon landing did happen and went smoothly as told to us. Yes, 0. No, 76.
This is conclusion of part 1. There is going to be a part 2. Notice, in less than 5 minutes of talk from these men, we have found 82 points of information. In our tally, did the men land on the moon and do so in the manner we were told? Yes was 0. No was 76. There will be a part 2. Stay tuned for it. R.S. Sleuth, signing out.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words,